A cyanide martini shaken, not stirred. Grand Hotel Migliera. Anacapri, summer 1958. A mystery in 4 acts. Act 1. The comedy of insults. There are summers that smell of orange blossom and money. The summer of 1958 in Anacapri smelled of both, with an undertone as subtle as cyanide of resentment. My name is Paolo. I have managed the bar at the Grand Hotel Migliera for 11 years. And in 11 years I have learned one fundamental thing. A bar counter is the confessional of the rich. They come here to drink, to forget, to be seen. I listen, I smile, and I polish the glasses. That evening, had you asked whether I had noticed anything unusual, I would have said no. But the truth is I had seen everything, including the 7 minutes I still relive sometimes. As I descend those stairs, the landslide had blocked the carriage road since morning. 200 meters of clay had decided, with perfect summer timing, to slip toward the sea. 900 steps of the Scala Phoenicia now stood between our guests and the rest of the world. No one left, but everyone complained, which is an entirely different thing. By 11 in the morning, Donna Eleonora had already received, one after another like papal audiences, 4 guests with 4 emergencies. The Baroness Consuelo wanted to know why the minibar ice had a European smell and could not understand why American ice could not be arranged. Arthur Sterling complained that the roadworks were far too noisy in the morning. We are on holiday, not on a building site, and wanted to know whether the hotel could make the workmen stop before 10. Dick had asked what time the post arrived, since he was expecting documents from Houston, as though the landslide were an administrative inconvenience, resolvable by telephone. Donna Eleonora had listened to all of them with the same expression, that of a woman trying to prevent her hotel from falling into the hands of a Texan, who meanwhile must explain to people with more money than sense why Italian ice tastes of water. When the last guest left her office, I watched her cross the lobby with deliberate steps, approach the bar, and order a Campari soda in the voice of someone who has already decided she will not drink it. I had seen her make that same gesture for 15 years. It was her way of carrying on. Carmela Di Maio had arrived that morning with a pair of bespoke sandals for the Baroness. Honey-colored leather, double-stitched, the buckle polished by hand. As she handed them over at the reception desk, I watched her run her thumb along every stitch, one by one, with a concentration that admitted no distraction. They were the hands of someone who left nothing to chance. Someone for whom precision was not an aspiration, but a technical requirement. I watched her and thought, without any particular reason, those are the hands of a serious craftsperson. The kind of hands I recognize because they are mine too, when I prepare a cocktail that cannot afford mistakes. I did not yet know how right I would turn out to be. Dick Sterling arrived at 5 in the afternoon, as he did every day, with the unhurried confidence of a man who has never waited for anything. A Texas oil magnate, 62 years old, the complexion of someone who lives on yachts, and the vocabulary of someone who has never worried about consequences. He sat at the center of the bar, always the center, always where everyone could see him, and tapped 2 fingers on the counter with the air of a man accustomed to being served before he has even opened his mouth. Paolo, a vodka martini, shaken, not stirred, with a lemon twist. I prepared the cocktail with care. The ice-cold vodka, the dry vermouth reduced to a whisper, the ice rotating in the shaker with a sound like breaking crystal, the lemon peel twisted with precision above the glass to release its oils across the surface, a pale yellow flower floating on the spirit like a small drowned sun. I did not imagine, at that moment, that the twist would become the center of everything. Donna Eleonora came in from the veranda with the step of someone who has worn a mask for so many years, she has stopped distinguishing it from her face. Director of the Migliera for 15 years, 60 summers carried with the obstinate elegance of a woman who refuses to grant time the privilege of aging her. An ivory-colored suit, dark hair pulled back, a modest white gold brooch at the lapel. I alone knew that the Migliera carried debts that would have made the Bank of Naples blanch. I knew that Dick Sterling had made a purchase offer 3 weeks earlier, and that Donna Eleonora had rejected it with a 2-line letter and a signature that read like a calligraphic insult. Dick saw her and spread his arms with the familiarity of a man who confuses his own wealth with entitlement to other people's intimacy. Eleonora, lovely as ever. Had second thoughts? The offer expires Friday. She stopped just long enough to make him feel acknowledged. It does expire, Mr. Sterling, she said in the voice of someone who has learned to wield silence as a weapon. Like all things that have no intrinsic value. She withdrew to the outer terrace with a Campari soda she did not touch. Her second of the day. Baroness Consuelo de Alcántara Vidal arrived 20 minutes later, like a silk thunderstorm. 68 years old, which she declared as 52, in a cascade of Emilio Pucci, a kaleidoscopic print in twill silk, orange and cobalt that would have dazzled the sunset, and the Chantecler campanella at her left wrist, diamonds set in yellow gold, fortune chiming with her every movement. She had married the Baron at 23, buried him at 40, and since then had dedicated her existence to a single war against age. Dick looked at her with the smile of someone who admires a work of art in order to remark upon its deterioration. Consuelo, that print is brave for a woman of your experience. The Baroness fixed him with a stare that would have turned a reptile to stone, pivoted on her flat caprese sandals, honey-colored leather, double-stitched, the same hands as that morning, and left without a word. But I saw her hand close around the Chantecler campanella as though she meant to snap it off. Arthur Sterling arrived with Grace, his wife. Arthur was 34 and had the air of a man waiting for an inheritance the way one waits for a bus. Seated, bored, certain it will come. Linen jacket in blue, a Rolex that cost more than an average Italian's annual salary. Grace was from Connecticut, tall, quiet, with slate-gray eyes that observed everything and commented on nothing. She wore a floral print Emilio Pucci dress, the discreet signature at the hem, a secret shared only with those who knew how to look, and caprese sandals identical to the Baroness's. Dick looked at his daughter-in-law with the expression of a man appraising livestock. Grace, I thought with my money Arthur could have managed something a little less ordinary. Grace smiled. The smile I had come to recognize over the preceding months. Not resignation, and not the patience of a woman biding her time. Something colder, the smile of someone who has already decided, internally, that certain people are not worth the expenditure of anger. I glanced at Arthur beside her. He had not even looked up. Grace noticed, and something crossed her face. Not pain. Something more final. The way one looks at a door one has decided, for good, not to open again. Carmela Di Maio came in through the main entrance at 6:15. That evening, Dick didn't even bother concealing his desire for an audience. Carmela, how much would it take to close that little shop of yours and come and work for me? Carmela smiled, but not that smile. My shop is not for sale, Mr. Sterling, she replied with a composure that seemed far more dangerous than anger. Like certain hotels I know. She took her Aperol Spritz and joined the Baroness on the terrace. The two women rarely spoke to each other. But that evening they did. A cyanide
Orange light weighs heavy on the sleeve. We are the ghosts that never truly leave. A bitter twist, a silver chime, the afternoon is frozen in its prime. The salt is eating through the gold. Some truths are better left untold. Quietly, the tide pulls away, leaving the debt we didn't mean to pay. Leaving the debt we didn't mean to pay. Leaving the debt we didn't mean to pay.